What if I told you that the world's governments are addicted to something far more destructive than drugs, war, or even power? It's something hidden in plain sight, celebrated by presidents, praised by economists, and weaponized by politicians. A tool originally designed to save nations, but now threatening to sink them, and its creator, not a king, not a dictator, but a brilliant economist with a flair for philosophy, mathematics, and high society gambling, John Maynard Keynes. Today, governments borrow money at levels once believed impossible. Tens of trillions in unpaid promises, rising with every election, every crisis, every headline. Or whether Keynes' vision was saving civilization or planting a time bomb. This is not just an economic story. It's a story of ideas, power, temptation, and unintended consequences. And by the end of this video, you might realize that the modern economy, broken it, is working exactly as designed. To understand Keynes, we must first understand the economic world he entered, a world where governments were not expected to solve financial crises. Before the 20th century, economic theory was heavily dominated by classical economics, which preached, free markets correct themselves, balance your budget, avoid debt like a disease. Economic downturns, recessions, and depressions were considered natural market cycles, painful. Yes, but necessary, like a forest fire clearing old wood. Governments rarely borrowed except during wars, and even then, the goal was always the same: pay it back quickly. So when the world entered the Great Depression, politicians and economists stuck to old beliefs. Wait it out, the market will fix itself. But the misery didn't end. Factories closed, families starved. And into this darkness stepped John Maynard Keynes, with a new and controversial idea that flipped traditional economics upside down. Born in 1883 in Cambridge, England, Keynes was not destined to be a conventional thinker. He studied mathematics and philosophy, not finance. He enjoyed art, theater, and debate more than balance sheets. He was a typical number-crunching economist. He was a visionary who believed economics was not merely math, it was human behavior. While other economists stared at charts, Keynes watched people, their fear, their confidence, their irrational decisions. He became famous early in his career for predicting that punishing Germany after World War I would trigger future conflict, a prediction that came true with terrifying accuracy. That was the moment politicians realized Keynes doesn't just analyze economics, he predicts history. If businesses stop investing, jobs vanish. So someone must spend, and that someone, he argued, should be the government. His logic was simple, but powerful. Recessions begin when demand collapses. When people are scared, they save instead of spend. When spending stops, businesses fail, so the government must borrow and spend for them until confidence returns. This became known as Keynesian economics, and it gave politicians a tool they never had before: the moral and intellectual justification to borrow money on a massive scale. To a desperate world, Keynes had become a hero. To politicians, Keynes had become a golden ticket. Keynes always said his plan was meant for crisis only. Like medicine, it was to be used carefully, with side effects understood. But here is where history takes a dangerous turn. Politicians discovered that Keynesian economics wasn't just a solution. It was a political advantage. Borrowing money meant they could increase spending without raising taxes, fund wars, welfare, and megaprojects. Win elections by promising benefits now, push the cost onto future generations, debt became the pain-free miracle drug. And with every crisis, war, recession, pandemic, or political campaign, leaders injected more. Over time, Keynesianism mutated from a strategy into a habit, and from a habit into an addiction. After World War II, Keynesian ideas spread worldwide. The US government adopted deficit spending as standard policy. European economies rebuilt using debt-financed stimulus. Then, in the 1970s, something Keynes never fully predicted occurred. Governments kept spending even when the economy was strong. The temporary strategy had turned into permanent ideology. Debt was no longer shameful, it was expected. And the numbers? In the 1980s, U.S. debt crossed $1 trillion in the 2000s. It passed $10 trillion today. It exceeds $30 trillion, rising by billions per day. Other nations followed similar paths. Japan, the UK, France, Italy. and China, all now sitting on mountains of unpayable obligations. The logic has shifted from borrow to recover to borrow to survive. Many economists have tried to reverse Keynesian policy. Some governments attempted budget cuts, spending caps, or debt ceilings. But every attempt ran into the same immovable political wall. Markets expect intervention. The global economy became a system where stability requires stimulus. Politicians require popularity. The world is no longer addicted to Keynes' idea. Every major economic challenge from 2008 to COVID-19 to inflation triggered massive government spending, often funded by borrowing or printing money. Stimulus checks, quantitative easing, free education, healthcare, energy subsidies, pensions, defense spending. No matter the country, the response is the same. Debt has become the global economy's life support system. Keynes didn't design addiction, but he created the bottle. His ideas solved real crises, but humanity turned emergency medicine into a daily diet. Debt is not just financial, it is psychological. Governments fear public anger more than long-term collapse, so they trade tomorrow for today. No one knows how or when the debt cycle ends, but mathematically it must end. In the long run, we are all dead. Or perhaps, he never imagined how far his ideas would be stretched beyond his intent. The question is no longer how much we owe. If this video opened your eyes, share it, like it, and subscribe for more deep dive, truth-seeking content. Because understanding history isn't optional anymore.